Alright, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Chain. So, we have a lot to cover in this video. We got Bitcoin having a great day, altcoins. Most altcoins have now rallied at least 10, 20, 30, 40% just on the day, which is really good to see. You know, it was almost euphoric, pumping from, high 50s to 62 today. Almost too euphoric, like we got a dump again. Just kidding, but anyways, let's get into it because in my opinion, we still are not even close to in the clear until we get a clean break of around 65. In my opinion, that may be the first area in which we are heading to, but in my opinion right now, I'm going to give you two scenarios for bullish where I can see Bitcoin actually headed, and then one scenario for bearish where it could go as well. But I'm very much so geared towards the side that I think we are going to start flipping bearish. I'm sorry. We're going to start flipping bullish here. But do I think we're just going to go straight up from here? No. So first things first, something that I like to do, which again, this is just from a long time, a lot of experience watching charts and patterns. I like to flip certain charts and different pairs, whatever the pair is. A lot of times I get a better view of certain patterns, that I'm very comfortable with seeing, that I see a lot, in different asset classes and stuff like that. So when I look at Bitcoin here, again, this is just strictly based off pattern recognition I personally have. It looks like we may have some sort of momentum shifting. Depending on how you want to draw this could be an entire major, resistance. Technically right now it's support because, the chart's flipped. But in my opinion, if it's going to be bullish here, we are probably going to bounce around this area. We may come back one more time. And if we continue to now reject when we are back, if we come back down into the 57, 58 range one more time, I don't think it's going to be something that, is going to gear us down for one more major leg to the downside. In my opinion, when we're starting to see momentum like this, again, I think we're going to need one more lower high to confirm this. Something like if the chart was up here, started making its way back down. In my opinion, that would be very, very bullish for me in price action. So basically, if price did something like this, and eventually it broke up, this is one bullish scenario right now where I could see this happening over, again, it could be the next couple days, could be, 2-3 weeks from now, right? Depending on how it plays out. The other one, is very short term. If we do in the next 2, 3, maybe 4 days or so, if these next few candles are not full out hard rejections, we may have a break well above this most recent higher low, which that alone right there, in my opinion, would be a huge sign to say, okay, you know what? Price is now finally starting to, flip its overall trajectory. And the reason why, again, would be, what do we have up here? We have a higher low, lower low, another higher low, and this is on a daily time frame, so it's a very high time frame. We're not looking at a 5-minute chart, then another lower low, then we got another higher low here. But for this trend to have continued all the way, to continue a full out clear downtrend, this at some point would have had to make a lower low, but it didn't. So that's a first key indicator for me to be like, okay, let's see what happens. My bias in this area was still somewhat short, but now that we have price, kind of showing that it's making a higher low here, if we can confirm that this is going to be looking like an actual long-term high time frame reversal, I'd say a clear break into around 65.5 to 66K. And if we can get like a daily close, even a couple 4-hour candles kind of hanging up about are hanging around up top, that would be very, very bullish for me. But again, that is very short term, and a lot of times when I talk about, Bitcoin price, I will have things like, I'll say certain things like price is going to do this or that over the span of 2 weeks, and often what happens is that actually ends up happening within the span of a couple days. So keep that in mind. I think the main thing that we want to see, like I said, is if we're going to be bullish right now, this is either going to do very minimal pullbacks, we may continue up from here, or if we get rejected in this general area, because this is very close to the previous lower high, we could get heavy rejection here, a bounce, and then make one more leg down into a push up, basically flipping the overall trajectory of bias. But those are two scenarios for bullishness. So we either see, again, straight candles to the upside within the next few days throughout this weekend and maybe early next week. Number two would be we do still pull back maybe in the next day, 2 days. Maybe for the span of a week we do pull back for a couple of days, maybe a little more. We bounce down and then we continue up and then finally break this. That would be the next bullish move. But if we're going to consider ourselves bearish, right, which we can't keep that out of the equation, then this would probably be, it may pull something somewhat similar to this in a sense where, maybe not a god candle like this, but we have a few good days of green. We may start to see some chop in this area. Like if we went to a 5-minute to 30-minute over the next few days and we zoomed in, we might see some chop up here, multiple attempts, to break into this general area and break through it, but we get wicks and more rejection until we finally just get a candle, like a big heavy red candle, signifying that, price tried at least a few times to break through this area, but it failed. It did not want to break through, and we're getting rejected yet again. So, and again, that's kind of different in a scenario where, like I said, we might do something like that, reject, pull back, but then we break back up. That would be, if we start to see heavy red candles, and then we start to see momentum kind of shifting, something like this, that is where, we probably were going to see even more downside, which no one wants to see that, but in my opinion, like I said, I look at the charts very, very often through the lens of momentum. It's very, very much so based on price action, just from years of watching charts and patterns and stuff. So again, it's really going to come down to how this bounces and kind of moves. Because like I said, I think worst case scenario is we chop up here and we have heavy, heavy red candles, meaning insane heavy sell pressure that just hit over the span of a day, couple days. In my opinion, that might be fairly bearish, at least for a little bit. But if we do get signs of another bounce and reversal, push up, like I said, we can see anything happening here. So on the day, though, we even got ETH as well. ETH still, I'm not going to lie, not looking great by any means. But I feel like, at the same point, I feel like most majors have pretty much bottomed, because I do want to pull up BitTensor and Render. I still think these are two of the best AI plays in the entire space right now. I mean, obviously they're very large in market cap, but I think these do signify, a good overall vision of, where the market is, right? Obviously when some of the major coins in one of the most major hype narratives starts to fall, everything else is falling, all the low caps. But for the span of about 2 months here, we saw BitTensor basically range in between $200 to about $350, until finally we just saw today it break out, have a nice clean candle in here, or outside of the this higher time frame range. To me, that's kind of signifying that, okay, we're not really in a heavy downtrend too much longer. Again, unless Bitcoin decides to just start dumping like that, like crazy out of nowhere. But in my opinion, this is a clean break. We probably will see a retest well back into this range before it decides to actually start another move up. But, if we're actually going to start being bullish again, I low-key would expect something like this. Pullback, chop, continued momentum, almost showing like it wants to swing back up. And then it will eventually just continue. Maybe it breaks its high that it just made outside of the box and continues to swing to the upside. So this is something really good I like to see. And render, in my opinion, it's almost like a lagging indicator right now. This render is really not full out recovered yet. But like I said, I'm very bullish on this coin. For a high cap coin in the AI sector, I think render is it's a very strong bet. And outside of this wick, certain cases I don't really count wicks. This general area would be a pretty good range as far as for where render is. If you wanted to zoom in, I'd say maybe even this area over the span of the month of September. It's in a very small range here, but in my opinion, something I do want to see is first, I just want to see a little break of this area, of this tiny range here. And, I just kind of want to see continued range. And again, same thing, maybe momentum starts to swing up until we get a break of this range. Because I think render, like I said, is almost like a great indicator of where the overall market is. If render is starting to trend heavily to the upside, for the most part, that low cap AI coins, anything and everything AI is easily going to be trending with it, right? If render's dumping very heavily, the entire AI sector right now is probably dumping as well. Render, I don't know why, to me it's been a great overall indicator of just the whole market sentiment. And I think it's because, it's one of the leading coins in one of the most hype narratives this cycle so far. So, like I said, we have a lot of low caps. GraphLink I like to cover often on the channel now. This has been in a range as well, been in a downtrend. A lot of coins are just looking like they're finally breaking out of these downtrends / range areas, right? So in my opinion, that is very bullish to see. I'm trying to see what else here. So, too, also Sui has been very, very, very strong lately. I don't know what it is. I've been very bullish on Sui, probably in the last 2 weeks, or maybe a week and a half. I really like this L1. But I'd say for the chart, we came down, obviously ran up, came all the way back down, back up. In my opinion, this will pull back at some point. I would not be FOMOing in at the top here if you guys like this blockchain. I'd definitely wait for a pullback. I'd say at least to just under or just over $1 to about $1. It might do something like this until, maybe it goes nuclear at some point. Again, this is all on the basis, though, when I'm making these, up-only looking, drawings, that we are going to at least be running into new highs, all-time highs for Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, by at least October into November, But overall, like I said, the market's been looking very good. Tons of meme coins as well. A ton of memes that I love to cover, that I've covered so many times in the last 3 months, are finally starting to look same thing. There's still a lot of them still are ranging. A lot of them have broken out of the range. Some of them are just lagging. It's gonna be the entire market right now. Just, we're still just waiting for more and more bullishness to continue and to continue. A ton of shorts to get liquidated. Let me see here if I can spell it too. Because we had Aura, I think it was up 60-70% today from the lows, which was really good to see. Because honestly, guys, like I said, I like to cover so many different coins and narratives. But guys, meme coins just have the heaviest reactions to price at any given moment. Like, I really don't think there's another narrative that overall can compete with, the volatility of meme coins. And obviously that goes both ways. When things are not looking good, that's why they correct 95%, versus, some very strong utility coins are only going to correct, 40%, 50%, you know, especially micro cap, lower cap memes. They're incredibly high risk. If you were to be jumping into a bunch of high cap, high risk meme coins, again, make sure you're not aping your life savings, into Aura here or Lock In or Sigma. Even though these are coins I think have a ton of potential, I'm not even kidding, like to run crazy at some point, you should not be aping, every single penny you have, especially if it's rent money, if it's money for actual important things in your life. Should not be just throwing that, gambling that. No one knows the outcome of what is going to happen, right? We have an idea and we have a conviction bet on the market moving up at some point, but that's how I look at it. But like I said, I think Aura still a very strong bet. And I really just genuinely think anything inside this yellow box, great accumulation, down here, whatever. Well, I think I don't know if it was the last video or the video before that, said the same thing. I think it was when it was kind of bottomed out. Anything within this range, very good area just to start adding and, paying attention to it. Once it really breaks out of here, I think it's going to start at least some sort of, next leg up. Another one that we still got, like I just mentioned, is Lock In. And guys, I don't even cover Mumu, Retardio, or Mog when I talk about memes. Because, even though I know a lot of you guys, if you don't consistently watch me, you may not know that, but some of my main, long-term conviction bags are those three. So I don't really cover them too often because they're just, in my opinion, they're just conviction. At some point, I know where they will be, so there's no need to even bother checking, but I will start checking them a lot more. But outside of those major three that I like, Mumu, Retardio, and Mog, Lock In again, still just trending, not doing too much. I still believe anything under, I'd say in between 10 to 20 million here is a fairly strong range for Lock In. At some point, this will easily run back into all-time highs. I firmly think that. I would not be bringing up these meme coins if I didn't believe that they had, this kind of potential to run. And that's why I only cover so many, consistently. I like to bring up memes too. Like I just dropped those meme tier lists if you guys want to go look at those. But, the same thing. I like to show you guys new coins, but the ones that I consistently talk about are the ones that, I really do have a ton of belief that they will be going a lot higher. Another one too I've covered for months now, on and off, has been Billy. But of course, Billy's finally back at 50 million. I think I first started covering this around, I don't know when it was. I think it was when it was somewhere maybe here or correcting. So yeah, I mean, if you've been holding Billy for a while, yes, unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's been down. I really did not expect Billy here to have such a hard correction. But in my opinion, the mind share is still very strong. It's all the way back at 50 million, and I think over the span of time, I think this can get easily right back to about 100, 150 million. But same thing, it's going to take time, especially after these coins correct. It's it definitely takes many months, for people to, finally get through an exhaustion phase, wait for the accumulation. Smart people or smarter money to be jumping into coins when they're accumulating, when people think they're over or they think they're dead. It's almost just like a big rotation of early investors taking profits, people that have bought up here selling for a loss. That's where all of this stuff kind of comes from. And then once it's bottomed out, if mind share is still good, everything still looks good about a meme, or a utility project, this would be the area that you want to jump into, right? But same thing, I think Billy, this was actually, I kind of drew that. I'd say this probably could be something even lower here. But I think anything within this range, I'm even going to drag this low now, because it kind of coincides with this other area. So really anything under 50 million, if you guys really like Billy and believe in this coin, definitely has a ton of potential. Another one too, which I just realized, I don't think I covered this. I don't even remember if I put Selfie in my tier list in the video. Selfie, in my opinion, is a very strong dog coin. Community just does not, they just do not give up. They continue to show up. Very strong coin. And I think the chart actually looks good. It looks like it's priming, to really make a new run well past its previous high, which I think was around 50 million here. So, that still would be like a 2-3x on the board just by being patient. Yeah, it might come down one more time. But again, if we get Sol and Bitcoin and ETH within the next 2 to 3 weeks to break bullish and we just see heavy upside, right? Most coins with very strong communities, and especially when they have charts like this where they're kind of, they're edging a little bit, they look like they're ready to take off, but they're not taking off yet. Most coins like that are probably going to catch a huge bid and just make some major moves at some point. But like I said, Selfie I think is a great coin as well. It's sitting around 20 million. But, outside of that, I didn't even realize, or I didn't think I was going to cover too many meme coins in this video, but just wanted to give a general update with the market, a lot of stuff that's going on. But like I said, I think continuously watch Bitcoin and what Bitcoin does, guys. Bitcoin determines everything in this market. If Bitcoin really does start to reject and we start to see heavy dumping, over the span of the next few days, and I'm talking like big red candles, price just doesn't want to sustain. You start to see something like this, then we might actually be more bearish here than I would like, or I would think. So keep that in mind. So the next few days, in my opinion, are still going to be pivotal, to see Bitcoin price action take control and get this bull run going, or if we start to see some heavy continued downside before, some major nukes. Kind of just doodling here, but I'm just thinking like I cannot draw this last candle. But I'd say if we're going to get some downside, like heavy red, which I still don't even think this is going to happen right now, but if we do, might look something like this, maybe more consolidation and just one more massive dump across the board. But I don't know. Outside of that, guys, I'm personally still hyper bullish. We are so close to seeing this up only mode, kind of like we saw here, but I think it's going to be the next leg up. Yeah, I might as well cover MOG, guys. MOG's been looking really good too. A lot of people I've seen, a lot of people are kind of down on MOG. They're worried about it. Again, guys, this is my highest conviction coin of the cycle. Yes, it's a literal meme coin, but I know for a fact this is going way higher. At some point, I think some of the holders in this coin are some of the most, strong whales that I've seen that can withstand, all these massive dips and corrections, not even blink an eye. I think MOG is going way higher than people think. Pepe, MOG, WIF, some of the majors, even WIF, guys. I think WIF long term, there's no way this doesn't go well past its all-time high again. Same with Pepe. Pepe is kind of, I don't know actually when I drew this, but I guess you can kind of look at it, because once this is starting to trend back to all-time highs, yeah, it's not going to go up like this, but we'll probably see something like this. And if we see one more huge leg up, unfortunately, guys, this will probably be the time to sell. If you see Pepe just make godlike moves where, you know, if you look at this first run, obviously it looks like a few pixels, right? When we start to zoom out and this looks like a few pixels in comparison, that's going to be time to get out of Pepe. But I think Pepe's got a huge run ahead of it. Everything has a huge run ahead of it. But outside of that, that's what I wanted to cover today, guys. Just, in my opinion, still continue to be bullish. You know, in my next few videos, I'm still going to cover, I kind of want to cover a little bit about, you know, some UTXO ecosystems like Fractal and KRC20s, because I know we had some issues and stuff with that recently. I think Casware, one of the main wallets you use, is having a ton of issues or something like that. I want to cover a bunch of stuff with that and get into a lot of other stuff as well. But outside of that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.